There was a story that was told about the twins brother who their father was an alcoholic. The other one grew up to become an alcoholic. The other one grew up not touching alcohol. And they asked two of them, he said, did you see what alcohol did to my father?
I didn't want to be like him.
Want to be like him.
Everywhere you go, this woman has split from her husband, this man has left his family. We don't think he's going to help us as a people, as a nation.
Saints to listen to you because I know that I might actually not know this. You see, that overrated this thing is, I don't even want to know. Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Lecture. My name is Prince Maridimo Alice. Today we are going to be looking into the Word of Men. We are delving into the Word of Men. We do hear, men of Quran. Be a man. Everything is proving trying to be a man. And what are we looking at today? How does it actually affect ourselves? And how does it affect our family? It is being said that men are the head of the home, but I always say a bleeding general cannot lead an army to its successful victory. So today we are going to be looking at how does this thing affect men generally, how does it affect their family, and how we can actually take a look at ourselves so that we will be able to take care of the institution that God has put in our care, which is marriage and family. But today, to be taking on this issue, I have a guest with me. He have been at the forefront advocating that men need to understand themselves. Men need to know themselves. Men need to understand their place and why God created them, the value they ought to be adding to their family. He is the executive director of Value Added Fatherhood Academy, and his name is Gideon Ohize. Thank you very much, Gideon, for coming on the program. Thank you very much for coming, for having you on the program. I have been following you. I have known your work about fatherhood. And first of all, let's look at what leads to it. Why do you have passion for the issue of fatherhood? Let's establish that first.
Passion. Wow. My passion of fatherhood.
Yeah.
I'll try and very briefly, because of time constraint, explain how I arrived here. Basically, when we look at our society, in social studies, elementary social studies, we are told that family is the basic unit of society. Now, our societies are a reflection of individual family units. Now, if the home is broken, if the families are not whole, then our societies will not be whole. And fathers are the heads of families. So if the different heads of families are not doing well,
that means automatically it affects the society.
The outcome of society. I remember a quote by a man called Will Durant. He says, family is the nucleus of civilization. Now, if family is the nucleus of civilization and fathers are the heads of families, then it just shows that the degree of civilization of a society is dependent on the fathers. Now, it's a very brutal reality.
It's a brutal reality, but it's a fact that we have to deal with.
Yes, it's a very brutal reality because until we call ourselves and say, you know what, we are majorly responsible for the slide in society, then there will be no healing.
Now, talking about taking responsibility.
Taking the responsibilities for our families, which ultimately affects the way our societies turn out. I'll give you for instance. We hear so much about leadership. They say we hear that everything rises and falls on leadership.
On leadership, yeah.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. I said, okay, it's true. Now, but the truth is that leadership is in levels. Now, the first and most important level of leadership is the leadership at family level.
Because from there, everything springs.
Everything springs. Now, the first level of leadership is the family, where the father holds sway. Now, the second level is the school. The third level is the church or mosque. The fourth level is, you work in an organization, your boss. The last level of leadership is actually political leadership. So, if a father fails if there's failure of leadership at the family level, it increases the burden on leadership at the school level. That's why you find that many teachers are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because when children are not properly nurtured, you know, and they get to school where you have like 40, 50 students in a class.
In a class where one teacher or two teachers have to take care of.
What do you expect?
And how many hours do they spend in school?
How many hours do they spend in school? So you discover that by the time that leadership phase at the family level, it becomes a burden on society. And the truth is, whatever we become, whatever we are now, whatever any child becomes, is a function of the home he or she is from. So if fathers will continue to abdicate our responsibilities, if we do not call ourselves together and say, you know what, let's address this scourge, then this slide will continue. That is why at the academy, Value Added Fatherhood Academy, primarily what we do is help fathers understand their value. If you don't know who you are,
you can add, such as I have, I give up to you.
What you have, you give.
You don't give
what you have, you give. You can't give what you don't have. Now, the truth is, a father, to help us understand, I liken a father to a driver. A driver of a vehicle. Your family is they are the passenger.
The passengers.
Now, your wife cannot drive. Because I need to really break it down, because if we don't understand it, somebody can say, okay, if you can't drive, let your wife take over. No, there are core elements of fatherhood that a woman cannot perform.
Yes, certainly.
Just as a man cannot conceive and breastfeed, there are things in a child's life that only a father can meet. And if we are not available to meet those needs, then we'll bring up children who are not rounded, who are not complete in a sense. And that is one of the reasons why we have the issues we have in society. Now, number two, I also liken a father to a shepherd. You know, a father is a shepherd.
Yeah.
They say strike the shepherd
and the whole sheep will scatter.
Now, when you look at society, look at our young men, look at our young women. At times when people behave and talk, you begin to wonder, where is this guy from? Where are you coming from?
Are you coming? Are you sure you're coming?
Do you live among humans? You know, when people behave at times, you begin to ask, and there's something I've learned over time. When people behave, I look at who taught you. Who did you learn from? Because we are a product of the people
that we learn
from. So that's why fatherhood is an amazing responsibility. And until the traditional understanding of fatherhood is, okay, the general belief, a father provides.
First of all, you give birth.
You give, okay.
You give birth.
Yes, yeah.
So your ability to give birth is what makes you a father.
Good. Okay, let me explain. Let me throw light on that. Now, who is a father? A father is somebody who has a child, either biologically or legally. If you adopt. Now, there are two components of fatherhood. There is I'll call it the event. By this I mean, you come of age as a guy, you meet a woman, something happens, and
a woman conceives.
She conceives and she gives birth. That's biological. That's a biological reality. You understand? Almost anybody can be a father. Even a
by that description.
By that description. Now, there's a process of fatherhood, which is where the work is. Now, the day-by-day responsibilities of a father, that's where the issue is. Now, this is how it goes. If you ask anybody, what are the duties? Who is a father? I say a father is a provider. He provides money. Those are for school fees, for house rent, for food, and all of that. But funnily, we have this mentality that a father pays school fees, but when it comes to homework and washing screen for other things, it's a mother's work. A father provides the home, the house. A mother keeps the home
and clean the home.
Right? A father gives money to mother to buy food.
Then she cooks
the food and feeds the children. You understand? Now, when we do that, we localize fatherhood to a very physical level. Our children have needs that are beyond food and clothes. You understand? Our children have needs. They have psychological, they have the emotional needs, they have spiritual needs. And until, if we as fathers do not realize this truth, and you think that, okay, just because I can provide, I'm paying school fees, so I've done my part. There's no part in that sense. If you end there, you discover that you'll be an alien to your children. And there's this thing I tell fathers. I say, you know what? If there's one word I would love to redefine in the dictionary, is the word domestic.
Okay.
Yes. Because I'm passionate about redefining standards where it needs to be refined for fathers to have a better understanding of what it takes. Now, unfortunately, it is in the place of doing domestic work that women bond with their children.
Yes. Even father bond with their wife and their children, if you are the man who helped to a great extent do some domestic work.
Thank you. But our concept is that a domestic work is for women. You understand?
So why the father just put her on the table and be watching TV?
I'll be watching
with the
TV.
Remote control.
Man, you. Whereas under his nose, his family is being alienated from him. That's why you find some men, they say, okay, there have been instances, a man sends his child to a very good school, and the child is coming home from school, he buys gift for only the mother. I mean, he thinks, okay, mommy, I bought you, it could be this 500 naira earring, but he remembers the mom and buys it. He doesn't buy anything for the father.
But the man is the one paying the bill.
But the man is the one paying the bill. But for the child, the mother who connects through, in the process,
attention
of doing domestic work. You understand? So fathers need to come to a realization that's why I say I need the word domestic to be redefined. Come to a realization that there's actually nothing like domestic. One of the ways I bonded with my children was through things we do in the house. You understand? So if as a father you close from work, you go to a garden or wherever, and you come home late.
While the children are already asleep.
While they're already asleep. For all you care, you are just taking a lone walk. And only time will reveal the reality of that, and it will be a very sad reality. Because before you realize it, those children are alienated from you, and they are gone. So as fathers, we need to awaken to these realities.
But now, let me ask you, because some fathers actually were fathers.
Oh, good. Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Some fathers were fathers. And they get confused in the process of them being fathers. I will use myself as a case study. I never grew up to get to know my father. Yeah, I know him, this is my father. But we never have this kind of conversation, like father to son conversation. It was just like somebody I see on the street, just like somebody I see on the street, good morning, and just go like that. Was how I grew up. When I was about to have my child, my greatest fear was, what kind of father are you going to be? It was a nightmare, a huge nightmare for me. And because I have resolved, I don't want to raise my child the way I was raised. I saw how I was like a how would I like a bunch of banana throw and I guess scattered everywhere. Try to gather myself together because of the event. I was afraid of all these things. So now, somebody like me, how will you be able to navigate to become the kind of father that your children will wake up and say, oh, if not for my dad, I wouldn't have been this. Oh, I knew my father loved my mom because it was evidence in all of his actions. How will we go to?
Good. Now, one of the major the objectives, I should call it, of this academy is advocacy. Now, it's not an NGO, so but you know, the issue of fatherhood is such an issue that we think we know, but we don't know.
We don't know. That is the sad reality.
We think we know, but we don't know.
know.
You know, fatherhood is like the sun. It's all over, you know, and we take the issues for granted. Like when we talk about the issues of provision and all of that. Now, this is it.
Let me quickly pause you.
Okay.
Let's go on a very short break because the conversation is getting very interesting now. When we come back, we are going to, he is going to be finishing his thought because many of us, we assume we know what fatherhood is, and actually we don't know. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Having very wonderful, interesting conversation with Gideon. He is the executive director, Fatherhood Added Value Fatherhood Academy. And we have actually been talking about, I like the last statement I made is, we assume that because I have the ability to impregnate a woman, that automatically makes me a father. He had been able to explain that being a father God just goes beyond providing the basic things, providing house, or bringing out money for food, paying school fees. There are other things that actually make you to be a father. So let me go back to him while he finished his thoughts. You were on the line of thought before we go on.
Yeah. The issue of somebody who didn't have a father figure. Good. Number one, if we understand the value of fatherhood, then we'll be able to take definite steps about bringing about great fathers. Now, like I mentioned, I said in the academy, advocacy is one of our objectives.
Okay.
Advocacy is not actually is for NGOs. Now this is why the academy is this is why we have the academy. Number one, to create awareness, because many of us think, okay, I know what fatherhood is all about. For some people, fatherhood is just about ability to have a child, which we have discovered anybody can actually do.
Everybody can do.
Anybody, I mean,
Even a madman on the
even
street
a madman can do that. A thief can father a child. But the real fatherhood is now the process of raising the child, which is what now separates the boys from the men, like they would say. So, number one is we raise awareness. You know, I've actually had people, when I walk up to some people, I said, I tell my name is Gideon, I run the Fatherhood Academy, and they're like, what do you do in your academy? I say, we teach fathers how to be fathers. And they come like, you mean, how do you teach fathers how to be fathers? We say, true. Fathers need to know what to do. Fatherhood is an office. Yes, fatherhood is an office with responsibilities. Now, if you don't understand that you are occupying an office and the rights and the privileges and responsibilities attached to that office, you make a mess of the office. And that's where many fathers are. So the first thing we do is awareness. And it's interesting when you hear people, the responses we get from people, you know.
Because most of them are not aware.
They are not aware.
You understand? It's like even, you know, we live in a society where we believe that everything comes naturally. Now, I was engaging with somebody who asked me the similar question.
Okay.
I said, what did you read in school? He said, I read, is it economics or something?
Okay.
So why did you read economics? Why not just sit down and read the environment and just become an economist? Okay. Say, how will I do that? Say, okay. If you have to go to school for the period of 4 years, and before the processing and everything, just for you to become an economist, what makes you think you don't need knowledge for you to become a mother or whatever you want to become? She was not looking at me. She said, look at it, think about it. He said, you are striving right now in your career, but the most important career
thing is left
the most important
to.
thing is left unattended to. And this is the level where many of us are.
Good.
Thank God for somebody like you who is bringing the awareness to make people to understand that waking up to think I'm a father is not just father. There are technical
things
issues that you need to know. There are the way you need to bond with your children, the way what you need to do. Now, taking it forward.
Okay.
Because actually we're talking about men who weren't fathers.
Who were not fathers, yes.
You know, men are seen as superficial people. Oh, men don't cry. Men don't, be a man, man. Be a man, be a man, be a man.
Mentality,
and
yes.
In an attempt to be a man, we are crushing those that we are supposed to be upholding.
Nurturing,
You know, the people we're supposed to be nurturing. Because we believe being a man means your ability to show your masculinity, be forceful, shout. When you come home, everybody has to dive into it. So how can we begin to redefine all these things?
Good. Now the first, this whole talk about men don't cry for me is, I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
But
you me too.
You know, there are many things we just grew to hear, and many of us have adapted. You know, I tell people this. I said, and I say, men. There's a difference. Men cry, but instead of crying out, men cry
inwards. And it's even more dangerous.
It's even more dangerous. That's why you find a man of 45, 47. I mean, he just drops and they say it's high blood pressure and all of that. Because we have been groomed with this mentality, even from boyhood. They say boys don't cry, men don't cry. So men are carrying a burden, heavy burden. Men are carrying heavy burden. Now there's a burden of finances, you know. you're a man, you don't have a regular job.
And you don't have, you want to provide.
You have to provide, and we don't want to hear excuses. No excuses.
If you come home, your son runs to you, daddy, I want to eat.
Yes.
You can't tell daddy,
bread, you
go.
can't.
If you want to go and buy on credit, go
Bros,
and buy on credit. As long as he's fine, he's fine.
And before you know, people start asking you, if you knew you were not ready to get married, why did you marry? That's why we also provide a safety net, an emotional safety net for fathers. Because if we all keep running on this notion that fathers don't cry, this pattern mentality, we are in charge, before long, many fathers will run out of steam. Because if you take the statistics of fathers who have who do jobs that pay living wages. I say living wages because many men are doing jobs where if you hear the salary, you begin to wonder, does that even take care of your transport to work and back? But he has to work. If you look at the statistics of fathers who don't have proper jobs, then you begin to really wonder, so how are men surviving? There are a clique of fathers who, this is the year of street mentality, people who hustle and live on the streets. You have a business, but there's nobody owing you anywhere. There's no safety net anywhere. You have just wake up every morning, like the artisans, and go to your workshop. Now, you're not sure that anybody will come that day
you that day.
And say, I need your services. Now, there are men who live on that level of life. There are men who wake up in the morning, like the Benin people say, I'm going home to eat. You don't know the man who is going to drink Gary. When people say, I'm going home to eat, you don't know the people who will go home and drink Gary. Now, when some men say, I'm going to work, for some men, work is under one tree, sitting on the stone. I mean, that's the reality of some men. And, the society keeps saying, this man is expected to come back home and bring money.
People are waiting for him.
People are waiting for him. Now, where does that put the man? It puts the man in a very tight situation. One. Then number two, he's also afraid to cry out so that he doesn't look weak. Then number three, sometimes the men who have been favored, I'll use that word, some of them are not fair enough. I've seen men run men down. Oh, the guy know the work, the hustle. But bros, everything is not about hustling. So there are people who also, there's nothing to show for it. It may be a period of dormancy, but I know people, they are working, but nothing is coming. But so what I like to say is that men should understand that, see, there are, why the academy, one of the reasons here is we have people, matured, experienced people who have also been through some stages in life. The truth is that we all have our bitter experiences. Now, it is the ability for you to say, okay, I've been there, I can help you walk through this.
I can help you walk through
That's what makes the difference.
It's empathy now.
Do you understand? That's what makes, for some men, they don't need you to carry their load forever. At times, what a man needs is a push. I've been there before, I came through. That is the tonic some men need. But most of it is lacking because we are a result-oriented people. Where there's no results.
We judge by the result, physical results
we see,
not the effort.
Not the effort. And that is crushing so many men.
And it's making them it has become a trigger. Many of them go home. I think there was one I saw, said the woman took money from the man's bag and the man reacted violently.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody keep blaming the man. Why will you react that way? I said, that triggered. Maybe, probably, it's not an excuse anyway. Probably he never actually meant to react that way, but he just find himself. It's an accumulated thing.
It was even borrowed money.
Yeah, maybe it's even borrowed money or whatever. Yeah. But now, let me say, the men. I was having a conversation with somebody. Also, be a man. Don't tell me to be a man. I'm a human being.
First,
treat me like a human being. When we are done with that, every other thing could be extra. Human being cry. Definitely. Human being show weakness. Definitely. Human being can be vulnerable. There are fundamental human rights enshrined in our constitution, even the UN charter and everything. Treat me like that first. For every other thing, start telling me, be a man. I don't want to be a man because men are dying silently And because in an attempt to be, oh, I don't want to cry, I don't want to express
I
it.
don't, yeah.
Anybody who does this expresses himself in words, expresses itself violently.
Bottled up emotions.
Bottle up emotions.
Yes.
That was the case of that man. Now, going forward, how can we begin to make men to understand that being overly strong is not human?
Okay. Yes. Simple. Number one, we try to provide that avenue to help men know that the fact that things are not working at the moment does not make you a failure. It's a process. It's a process that I believe almost every man passes through, but at different times. You understand? It's a process. One. Then number two, it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Now, you know, many times we just think, when we meet people in their dry seasons of life, we just conclude, oh, this man not smart, this man not sabi anything. We need to unlearn some of those things. Now, that is not to encourage laziness in any man. No. But they are truly, it's just like the issue of parenting. You know, for all, there's no 100% guarantee for parenting.
No.
I've seen children who were brought up under very strict and proper homes. They grow up and they
become something else.
They go away. It happens. And one thing I tell parents is, I've worked with young people for 24 years, and I tell parents, sometimes when your child is misbehaving, it's not because you have failed. It may just be a process. We respond to processes differently.
Now, before we go, because they have already started giving me signal, let's talk about men mentoring men.
Okay, good.
Men mentoring men. Just round off.
Okay. Yeah, men need mentors.
Yeah, because men need men.
These are deep issues, yeah.
Do you know the funniest thing? Women will sit down, we could talk about other things. We don't talk about our problem. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't talk about
No. Sometimes we're arguing about Man City and, you know,
talk about politics.
Politics, yes.
Actually leave our
we leave our whole, the real issues unattended to. Men need mentorship. And one of the objectives of this academy is to provide mentorship for men, fathers. Now, mentorship is another man taking your hand, walking you through a process, right? There's a statement I find so comforting when people say to you, when they tell you, I've been there before. You come through.
It makes you go home and
you relax.
In fact, it's like you're putting a needle on a balloon.
It deflates your tension. Yes. So men need mentorship. Men need, and the kind of mentorship we're looking at regular engagement with fathers. Now, the reason we're an academy is not just to, when we raise awareness, is not to begin to engage fathers on a regular basis on what fatherhood
Gideon, I wish
is all about.
Honestly, I will try to bring you back to the studio.
No problem.
Hello, viewer. That's all we can take today. Actually, we're looking at the issue of fatherhood. I will say so many things that if you are a father out there, I think you ought to know that providing housing, paying school fees is not what makes you a father. There are other nitty-gritty that you have to take cognizance of, like domestic issues, getting involved in your children's homework. It's all of these are what makes you a father. First, you are a lawgiver. You are the one who provide the emotional support in the home. You provide emotional template in the house. So until I come your way, well, first of all, let me thank you very much, Gideon, for coming. I deeply appreciate you for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you.
So until I come your way again next week, remember, my name is Prince Manageable Alex. See you.